Janice?
We're good. We're good. We're good. Hi. How are you doing today? I'm Bob from Creation Station, and this is Tech Talk Weekly, our weekly show where we talk about 3 or 4 interesting, cool tech topics in the news, get you on your way. But are you listening live on Facebook or YouTube? Did you know you could do that in addition to watching us on your favorite podcast app? Today, I've got
Oh, gross.
Miss. And can you hear me now, Miss Loria?
I can. It was kind of sort of kicking in and out there for a minute.
Exactly. Okay, great. Good. I have no idea what's going on today. I'm getting a weird like click in my headset too. But in any case, I hope you're doing better.
I am.
Good. Excellent. So we are going to get us going with some positive news today.
Okay.
Because we need positive news in this world right now. And I think this is probably one of the coolest things that has happened that I've seen out there in quite a while. Are you ready to use soap to cure cancer?
So, how neat. Well, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah. And so this is, as you know, we hate doing stories on here with stuff that, oh, well, this has potential and this could do if they ever make it. Right. This kid put together an actual experiment, proved that it can work, and now 3M is actually helping him develop a soap that cures skin cancer.
That is amazing.
So part of what he did was he put together, and we've got, as always, we have all the stuff in the show notes and a link to his original video in the show notes for you so you can see it all. But he actually has his experiment that he did was 3M, the company, puts together a Young Scientist Challenge every year. And part of his challenge was like, what could I do to help people just use medicine more frequently and solve a problem? And his quote was, everybody likes soap. I'm not quite sure he's right on that one. But we hope
more than
yeah. We're pretty sure people are more willing to use soap than they are to get a shot.
Right.
And so the idea is change your world. What are you going to do? He originally was from Africa, moved to the United States when he was 4, and he always remembered people working in the fields and that hard labor type thing and skin cancer and those things. And he was trying to come up with a way of how do you prevent it? And he originally, if you listen to all of his stuff and go into all the background stuff, he was originally thinking along the lines of like a sunscreen type of idea. But he stumbled upon the fact of he could actually work on something that would affect your skin cells and replenish the part that gets damaged and broken by the sun that causes skin cancer. So instead of blocking the sun, he went in even the next step of like, I want to like refurbish and refresh everyone's cells and make it work. Going through weekly meetings, going through all the stuff as a middle school kid.
Right.
How many meetings do you have to go through, Loria? Do you think
any? But not in middle school. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, how many middle school kids are that dedicated to do this? But it actually works on the dendritic cells, which are the official things that deal with cancer and such like that. And he actually made it work. In the lab, made it work. And now he is part of the team that's going to bring this out to everyone.
Wow.
3M is going to help him set up a nonprofit where he can distribute this because he gets the credit for this. It's his patents, etc., that are in the process. He doesn't have a patent yet, but they're in the process. And part of the reason, again, listening and reading and watching this whole story, it's really a positive thing.
Right.
Except because he's a middle school kid, he can't get the patent.
Oh, because he's not old enough.
He's not an official person to get a patent. So they're working with him so he can keep all this knowledge and get credit for it.
Right.
But, all this is just make a bunch of soap and hand it out to a bunch of people and you can cure skin cancer.
That is beautiful. That's really amazing, especially for a kid. I mean, there's no way in the world that me at my big age, if you will.
Yeah. Yep.
would even think of something to that extent. And the other part of this, as you said, he's from Africa, and what happens, and as you can see, I'm melanated.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of melanated individuals believe that they cannot get skin cancer, and that is a complete and utter myth, right?
Yeah.
And so hopefully that will bring in also that element so that people are aware, and can take better care of their skin out there in the sun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely 100%. And like I said, we've got the videos of him up there, his
Mhm.
original pitch video and everything. Go watch it. He's a cute kid
He
as
is
well as being really smart.
he is good stuff.
And then I know this is a hard segue over from that story to this story.
From
Because
happy kids to buried
we're
bodies.
talking about curing cancer and
What a
everybody's going to
segue.
live. This was a really weird story that I came across this week
Mhm.
about when did humans actually start burying your dead,
Right.
bring out your dead, the
Right.
classic Monty Python skit.
Mhm.
But it turns out we've been doing this for a long time, but not
Right.
the longest time that you think about for certain things.
Mm.
So we've been burying people underground
Right.
for at least 120,000 years,
Gotcha.
maybe going back as many as 300,000 years. Obviously, we can't find everything. We can't find every burial thing out there.
Right.
So can you guess why they started burying people, Loria?
To guess the why, no.
Guess the why.
Um,
Give me, throw out something.
maybe the smell. You know what I mean? Because
Bingo. Exactly.
okay. Because I'm thinking,
Because
yeah,
at this time, humans, and we are talking humans, we're not talking pre-human, we're not talking anything.
right,
This is like
right,
Neanderthals, humans, our current species type of thing.
right,
We all lived in caves at this point. We weren't constructing actual structures
Mhm.
still for another couple thousand years.
Right,
Couple when we mean 10 or 20. But we were living in caves, and when someone dies, you can't
Mhm.
just have the rotting meat former person with the stench, the decay, all the flies and everything with
right. I
you
would
in
imagine that
your
would be a
cave.
bit of an issue,
Yeah.
out there in the open that way. Yeah.
And so at some point, humans became cognizant enough that they
Mhm.
started burying people instead of just leaving them out for scavengers.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
And one of the reasons they know they were doing it on purpose is because the bones are put into a particular pattern, like a fetal
Mm.
position or something like that. And they left something of the person with them when they
Okay,
buried them,
gotcha. Oh, honey. Mm.
which got me thinking two things. One, the article did answer, but number two, it doesn't.
Mhm.
When did we stop leaving stuff with people?
Mm. That's a
Because we always hear about this. Oh, and we unearthed this medieval couple that was
right,
buried with their necklaces and all this
right,
stuff.
right,
We don't do that anymore. Nobody gets buried. I mean, you might get buried like in a nice set of clothing,
right.
and
But
that's
there's
it.
no personal item with them.
No like significant personal items that I
Right.
can remember in my lifetime or in recent times. It's not like they talk about, oh, this person was buried and they had their favorite china buried with them or something like that.
Right. Yeah. I don't
I
know.
wonder, when did we stop doing that?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I couldn't find it. I did a quick Google search thing and I couldn't
Right. Just
find
yeah.
a fast thing of like, here's when humans decided, oh yeah, we're going to keep this stuff instead of putting it in the ground.
Maybe greed took over versus
Yeah, yeah.
sad.
But true. Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
The other thing that was part of it is when did we start doing cremation? Because you always hear about that idea, the Vikings and the flaming
Right.
boats,
They put the
etc.
people on the fire.
It turns out we haven't been doing that very long at all. Like we just said, burying underground is 140,000 years, maybe 300,000.
Right.
Cremation's only 40.
Wow.
Yeah. I would have thought it was a lot longer than that.
Right. Because I mean, fire was more readily available,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that's interesting.
So 40,000 years ago in Australia is the oldest one that they can prove that somebody was actively cremated on purpose, taking a body and cremating them. Only 40,000 years ago.
Well, there you go. Look at that.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
It is
It's
weird,
weird.
but we
I was like,
human.
huh.
We weird
I'm like,
humans.
yeah, why are we doing this? What are we doing? How did all this? A whole sociology class there, and I know we're straying a little bit from the tech side of things when I start talking about that thing. So let's get back into a more techie, sciencey sort of thing.
Get away from the dead people,
And there's a new orca story out,
or or
and
or get into more people.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and if there's a cool orca story, we got to try and find a way to cover it.
Okay.
So it turns out that there's a newish study,
Hmm.
and they are working on our killer whales or our orcas actually getting smarter.
Right.
And we've talked on this show in the past year, 2 years, about how orcas attacking sailboats off of the coast
Right.
of Spain.
Right.
And we covered it like 2.5, 3 years ago when the show's been around that long, folks.
Mhm.
That when they were using dead salmon, orcas off the northwest coast of the United States were using dead salmon as hats.
Hmm.
Nobody understood why they were going around doing it. That was one of the weird things that happened. And now they found some orcas, again, up in the northwest portion of the United States. They don't actually eat seals. They go after salmon instead.
Hmm.
But instead of going after salmon, they're teaching their young and people how to catch salmon by using baby seals. So they will capture a baby seal, recently born baby seals,
Hmm.
and use that as a
If
toy
they-
slash teaching tool to
Right.
show, like, here's the size of a salmon, here's how you go
Ah,
about
I
capturing it,
see.
here's
Wow.
what you do, which orcas learn pretty fast.
Yeah.
Obviously, they
Right.
communicate with each other. Now, they're not communicating across all the oceans, just the particular little oceans, in their pods,
Mhm.
their local areas. But they are teaching each other. But they're saying that these behavioral changes are actually affecting. Maybe let's hide that picture. If you've got a little bit of a squeamish stomach, this next picture I'm going to show on the screen for just 5 seconds, and then we're going to scroll off of it. So just close your eyes if you're watching the video.
Yeah.
But this is the picture of a killer whale whose their preferred cut of meat off of the whales are killing are tongues.
Tongues. Yeah.
So they're diving into the mouth of a whale,
Right.
taking out just the tongue, and then letting the rest of the whale go.
Right. Yeah.
And we are scrolling right on past the shark and going inside the shark for the livers of a shark.
Mm.
All of these turn out to be learned behaviors.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
tell me there, Loria. What do you
Well,
think?
I mean, it's interesting, obviously, but then the question becomes, where are they learning them from? I mean, I understand they're learning from each other, right?
Yeah.
But who was the first orca to say, you know what? Let me go inside this well and get the tongue.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah,
let
I
me
want
figure
this
it
specialty thing.
out. Right.
I'm going to the butcher to get just the specialty and not just a generic grab
Yeah,
on the side of it.
exactly.
And one of those things is, are we actually just finding out that they're smart? One of the part of the study that is not finished yet is, are the orcas actually getting smarter? Are they learning and doing new things?
Mm.
Or is it just humans are finally figuring it out? They're like, hey, if we paid attention better, maybe
Right.
we would see what's going on around us.
Right.
And oh, by the way, there's all these cameras out there now that we can capture some of these things so people are able to see and do
Right.
what's going on.
Yeah. So not necessarily a new behavior, it's just a newly noticed behavior.
Yeah. It's like, has your kid always been doing that thing? Or did I just wake up and realize that, wait a minute,
Right.
how'd you learn how to do that?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then the final sad part of the story,
Mm.
because there's always a sorry, is that some of these orcas have learned how to steal off of long trawling lines of the fishermen out there in the Pacific now, which is cool. They're learning how to outsmart the humans and take the fish away from the humans before the humans can get to them.
Right.
but they're actually getting caught in some of the nets
Yeah.
also because of. So,
Right. Yeah,
yeah, here's a picture of the carrying around on their head like a little hat. They're smart creatures. They're smart.
they are.
Not sure, but get as a lot of these articles are. They're way too long to talk all about it in one little quick show like this. So I highly encourage you, go click on some of these links and follow up and see what your opinion is, and give us in the polls after the show. Tell us what you think. And our final episode, our final show for this episode, I mean, is, are you a Luddite, Loria?
In modern day terms, yes. Yes, I freely admit that in modern day terms, yes, I am.
So
Yes.
when you say you're a Luddite, tell me what you mean by that.
My well, if we're going by technological skills as far as AI and the most modern technology and the most modern use of, then yes, that would be no. I am completely way out of field there. I
Yeah.
have.
Now, but is it something that you just think shouldn't exist, that we should
Oh,
ban it?
absolutely not.
Or
No,
do you think it's just something you don't want to get involved with?
it's just something I have just yet to get involved because I haven't had a need, right? It's not
Okay.
necessarily anything that I'm resisting. It's just that I haven't had a need to pursue and explore where it's affecting me daily.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Affecting me daily where I need to use it, put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a resistance. I believe, obviously, if you can learn something and grow it for the better, then that should happen. That should definitely happen. Without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's Brian Merchant has a new book out called Blood in the Machine, and it talks about the origins of the Luddite movement back in the early 1800s, early 1900s,
Mhm.
when they were smashing the looms and to prevent that kind of stuff, which if you don't know the story, which is probably not a real story, a factual thing, but the legend of Colonel Ludd and taking the bats and breaking the looms so that the big industrial people would not take away the jobs from the small cottage industry people of weaving and doing things. Because once you make mechanical looms, you can pump out fabric a lot faster.
Exactly. Mhm.
So that's the origin of the Luddite movement type of thing.
Mhm.
And he's talking about the idea of who are the new Luddites. If you just resist technology, are you a Luddite or not?
Mhm.
Is it that you're, the Amish? There was a very funny thing. Remember last month when we all got those alerts on our phones from the new
Mhm.
federal thing?
Mhm.
There's a funny story about how many Amish were outed for having cell phones because
Right.
that alert went off
Right.
and people found out, oh, wait, Pa's been hiding the cell phone on us.
Right.
So, yeah. So those kinds of things. Are you restricting technology? Are you like you're just choosing not to use, or
Mhm.
and are you going to not use it until you feel comfortable with it, or just refuse to use it once you learn more?
Right.
I think one of the funnier sort of Luddite things recent in San Francisco is all the self-driving cars. We've talked about that on this show before too.
Mhm.
But there is a group of people going around taking the orange traffic cones and putting them on the roof of the self-driving cars. On the hood, not the roof over on top, but on the hood of the car.
Oh, okay.
And so the car stops
Right.
because it knows, wait, there's something wrong here.
Right. There's some impediment. Yeah.
So it
Huh.
stops. Now it's not it's if the cone was in front of the car on the ground, the car is smart
Would
enough to
go
know,
around. Right.
hey, right, I back up, go around it, it's going to be okay.
Right.
But when it sits on the hood of the car
Right.
just stops. And unless there's somebody in the car who
Right.
is going from point A to point B, who gets out and takes it off, the car is just stuck there until somebody comes by and quote unquote rescues the car.
Mm.
So it's not a destructive way of impeding technology, but it's an interesting way of fighting back against something if you don't agree that you should be having these self-driving cars and you're going to be putting taxi drivers out of business, etc.
Right. But also pointing out, even in that, in the obstruction, they're also pointing out the need for humans. They're also pointing
Yeah.
out the need for human intervention, even with the technology. So
Yeah.
it's sort of, proving good points. If you,
I am all for self-driving cars,
Mm.
except for the fact that I don't want to ride in one, because you're dependent upon the person before you that was in there and how clean were they.
Oh.
Yeah. So if I'm trying to get home from main library at night in a self-driving car, and the
Right.
person before me was drunk and threw up in the back,
Right. Yeah.
nobody's going to clean it until it goes back to its whatever.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
there's problems. There's a lot. It could maybe be solved, but yeah, there's problems with this
Right.
whole idea. I'm just I'm a believer in we should try this technology. I'm not a believer in I should use the technology right now.
Gotcha.
Now, on the other hand, if I can buy one in a heartbeat, I can just wake up, stumble out of bed, get into the car, and take another nap on the way to work. I am all for it. Or read a book, or do whatever else. Yeah.
Right.
I'm happy.
I hear you.
Thank you for being here, Miss Loria. We just flew right on through this. Is that amazing how fast this goes? Do you have a fun thing that's coming up at Northwest Regional Library?
As of right now, no, just our regular programming. So
okay, people. Now, wait. She's saying, oh yeah, no, it's just her regular programming.
Well,
she is talking about she's got a citizenship class there all the time going on.
Yes, these are our regular programs.
Yeah, regular programs you just do to help people.
We have our chair yoga on Tuesdays. We have Tai Chi on Fridays. We have story times for the kids. You
got toddler yoga I saw on here.
It is so neat. They're so adorable.
I can't imagine all the stuff that's going on there. This is the problem.
All kinds and that's just, as I said, that's our regular programming. That's what we do on a regular basis. Please come out and see us.
Broward.org/library/events. You can get a whole list. You can create your own private listings there, by the way, and print out a little booklet.
Mm-hmm.
Have it emailed to you that shows you all your local fun libraries. Yep. Okay, well, let's throw up our final slide here. If there is a library or a librarian you want me to feature on the show one week, reach out. Creation Station at broward.org. We'll see everybody next week.
Take care.